Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Smart Moves. We're here to talk about pretty much the biggest news in Hearthstone recently: new expansion. So we got our agenda down below, what we're going to be talking about, and we're going to kick things off talking about the Witchwood. But first, I'll once again introduce myself. I'm Setsuko, and I'm joined by my co-host Slicky, who's making some weird Ernest goes to camp kind of faces.
Oh, I forgot all about Ernest.
Man, yeah,
Oh, okay.
I
I was
don't.
trying to find out where you were talking about this little agenda, but now I see it.
Oh yeah. That's right. I should make this. I'll make this bigger. There you go. Now you can. There.
That's what he said.
Yeah. All right, so we got the announcement for the new Hearthstone expansion. I'm gonna, totally go off the rails here. Roll it back to this Year of the Raven post, where it was at. I had this all planned out, and then the first thing I do is I go and say, no, let's do something that's off menu. So we had the Year of the Raven announcement the last time we did the stream, and we got our little expansion hints that popped up right here. And we had expansion 1, and we were trying to figure out what's going to come out, what's the first expansion going to be about. And we had a lot of people who were talking about it's going to be the Emerald Dream. And the last time, on the last episode of Smart Moves, I kind of said that I didn't think the color scheme matched up, and for that reason, I didn't think it was going to be Emerald Dream, but who knows, because it does kind of look like a portal. Well, it's not Emerald Dream, so I still think there may be a chance that there will be a couple druidy, maybe, cards that kind of fit into that theme, but it's definitely not Emerald Dream. So instead, what we got was the Witchwood, which is thematically set in the woods outside of Gilneas, which is the kind of capital city of the Worgen race in World of Warcraft. All you really know is it's really spooky, it's kind of creepy, and oddly enough, I want to know what you think about this. It's pretty Halloween kind of, like, the vibe is Halloween themed, and it's coming out in April. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's silly that it's not for Halloween, but it's one of those things where like maybe they were like, "Oh, we have all these good ideas for Halloween themed cards," and then they were like, "Oh, well, we have all these ideas for Halloween themed cards, but we don't really have that many for the other expansions we're planning, so we're gonna go ahead and just do the Halloween one." So maybe it was something like that, but I love like Medieval, that game. That game was awesome. So I'm really into like the whole kind of lighthearted horror theme. It's really big to me.
Yeah,
So
and I like it as well, especially some of the artwork we've been seeing. I've been a pretty big fan of. So let's go ahead and cover what we know about the expansion so far. We're going to skip the keywords, and we'll talk about those when we get to the cards that they're featured on. So the expansion is going to release mid-April. It has been announced that the Hearthstone streamers and celebrities, if you want to call them that, are going to start doing their card reveals on the 26th of March. Typically, there's 2 weeks and then 2 days between when the reveals start and when the expansion comes out. So it looks like the expansion is probably going to be out on Thursday, April 12th. That's not confirmed date at all, but that's about when we expect it to be released. So we've got 3-4 weeks left. So
you say, but didn't they have they had the four cards revealed by some guy? So what was that all
yeah,
about?
that was a developer thing, and they were kind of trying to showcase the new mechanics. So this is specifically when they start giving the streamers a card to reveal, and we have these 4 streamers are going to reveal a card on Monday, and then these 4
Did you
are
get
going to
one?
on Tuesday. Yeah,
Did you
right.
get a reveal?
That's our goal, right? Is to
Yeah.
eventually get a
Have
card
like
released.
so many viewers at one time. They're like, hey, we can actually
We
make a
should
profit off of
we
you
should
guys.
we should give
That'd
those
be
guys
cool.
a card to reveal. Um,
Wouldn't that be really cool though if they were like, oh, we just ran across your stream. We're gonna give you a card to reveal, and if anybody ever watches your stream, they'll find out about this card before the expansion hits. It'd be like a little Easter egg if somebody actually found the video.
yeah, but I'm sure they'd put it up somewhere on their schedule and it get blown up. Who knows? Maybe one day. So we are getting like I said, we're gonna skip the keywords. We're getting a little like a mini dungeon run update. We're gonna be getting the monster hunt. We don't know too many details about this other than there are gonna be 4 unique heroes with 4 unique hero powers, and you're gonna be doing a kind of specific dungeon run against the bosses and monsters of the Witchwood. Now, I know I'm personally really excited about that. I think Dungeon Run is a very fun mode that I have no incentive to play because you can't do quests or get rewards from it. So, even though it is fun after you've kind of gotten the card back and everything, it kind of seems like not the best use of your time when you're playing Hearthstone. But I'm definitely excited to try Monster Hunt, at least enough to beat it with each hero. I don't know if there's going to be any specific rewards. What do you think?
I really like the thing I really like about it. Like, I like dungeon runs. I did. But the thing I really like about it is that they're giving you new classes to play as,
Yeah.
which I assume are just going to be combinations of other classes. But they'll probably also throw in some new cards. I want to play as this time mage thing. Like, it's turning into, like, I played a lot of Final Fantasy, and then the later it got into the Final Fantasy thing, the more different classes you could play as. Like, especially, like, with tactics and stuff, you've got, like, the Tinkerer and
Calculator.
the Sharpshooter, the Monk, all these different classes. I like the idea of just having a bunch of, different classes that you can play as. So I like the idea of playing as someone else. I always like the Tavern Brawls where they give you another class that you can play as. So I'm really excited to play, like, even if I didn't get any sort of reward for playing as all 4 heroes, I probably would just to see kind of the feel of all the different characters.
I'm just kind of worried that without an incentive on offer, it's going to end up the same for me where I kind of go through all of them and then I'm like, well, if there was a reward or I could do my quest or something in Dungeon Run, I'd be playing it all the time.
Well, they do have the Dungeon Run quest.
Right, but it's a daily you have to randomly get. So
yeah, I haven't gotten it at all.
I got it one time right when Dungeon Run first came out.
Maybe they de-incentivized it, like lowered its offer rate or something.
Yeah. So the 4 heroes that you're going to be able to play as in Monster Hunt are the Cannoneer, Houndmaster, Time Tinkerer, and Tracker. So those all sound pretty interesting. I like that's what this reminds me of. The expansion kind of has like a Sleepy Hollow vibe, which I really do enjoy quite a bit.
Yeah, some people are saying it's like the Grimm fairy tales, or I guess are you talking about, like, specifically Sleepy Hollow or like
No,
the Johnny
just
Depp?
that general, just that general kind of dark and spooky, but also fantasy, fable-y. I like that vibe quite a lot. So
Yeah, me too. Adam Sandler, love those movies.
So the pre-order this time. So this is huge news for a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yes.
So you get the typical, $50 pre-order, 50 packs. Usually you get a bonus 10 packs. This time, or no, you get. It's been what, 50 for 50 usually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you pay 50 for 50 card packs, but there are bonus 20 packs.
So you're paying $50 for 70 packs.
Yeah, so I mean, before the deal was kind of like, okay, if I pre-order, it's $1 per pack. Now 70 packs. That's impressive for a pre-order compared to what we're used to. So
Yeah.
you're already, if you include some of the free packs and things that we'll probably end up getting around launch, you're already almost to 2 pity timer legendaries guaranteed.
Yeah, well, there's that, and they're gonna give you a free legendary, a free class legendary
Right.
when you first log in. Um, yeah, that is really cool. I already saw somebody complaining about it, and it really annoyed me because it said, "Well, they're giving these incentive to people that are the big spenders, but they're not giving any incentive to the people that aren't willing to spend $50." Well, yeah, that's how a sale works. That's the whole point of like buying in bulk. That's what happens. Like I don't know. I'm just really happy they're going to give 70 packs, and I don't like people that are like, well, what, don't I get something for spending $10?
Oh yeah, the people are like, well, I wish there was a pre-order for $30. It's
Yeah,
like, this is the
I mean, I guess
pre-order.
you
This
can.
is what you get. Like, it's the package deal that they've come up with.
Right.
Um,
I mean, nothing. I don't think anything can ever really beat the Mammoth deal, but this is pretty awesome too, though.
I hope that the Mammoth deal is something they keep doing, and I imagine they will, depending on how the sales of this one went. So, like you said, there's going to be some free stuff. There's 135 new cards in the expansion, right? That's pretty typical. But logging in when the expansion comes out will give you 3 free card packs and a random class legendary. They did confirm that there will be 2 legendaries for each class again this expansion, but to my knowledge, there is no theme like legendary weapons, legendary quests. Everybody gets a hero card. Um,
To your knowledge.
to my knowledge, they haven't announced anything like that yet. They haven't. And I feel like if that was the case, they would have said something about it because they have every time before. Said, oh, legendary weapons, this is the thing. Quests, these are the big things. But they haven't come out and said, this is the big legendary thing that every
Maybe they'll
class is
do
going to get. So,
they'll do an even odd thing maybe with each of the legendaries. Who knows? Um,
maybe.
but the whole fact that Shaman, we already know Shaman has this new hero, like that kind of precludes them from having one of the legendaries if they do have a theme.
Well, and the thing is, they did confirm that the Shaman is the only hero card coming out of this expansion. And I thought that was pretty interesting because we literally were just talking about, we were having the conversation of would they do that? Would they add in a hero card without giving one to everyone? And I think it's really cool that they are willing to do that because I honestly think having to come up with a hero card for every class every time you want to release one can just get overwhelming and be really restrictive as opposed to saying, oh, well, we actually have a cool thematic hero and we have a cool idea for one. Let's add it to a class. We don't have to worry about coming up with 8 other ones just to put this
Yeah.
one out. So I really, really like that they're doing that in this expansion because
Right.
it sets a good precedent, I think.
Yeah, there's that, and I think this is something I mentioned to you off stream. I think part of the reason they're doing it is because Shaman, the legendary before was mostly about the evolved mechanic, which largely is rotating out. The only evolve card that's going to still be around is going to be unstable evolution.
Right.
So it would be weird to keep around something that emphasizes a mechanic that's not a big part of the game anymore.
Yeah.
So
So let's see. So we got the cards. We're going to cover those. There are 2 card backs. So the first card back here is the pre-order card back, and then the second card back is from Monster Hunt. I personally think the Monster Hunt one is pretty damn dope. Like it's a belt with like ammo, and then blades on the side. It's got the Worgen slashes. Like I think that card back looks pretty sick. I
I think
like
the
it.
coolest card back lately is the one that they released for WoW, which I've never played. It's got like the blue and red flags that are tattered and glowing. That was really cool.
Yeah,
And I've
that's
been trying to get the Dollar on Flame card back, but you have to watch the Collegiate series and then submit Twitter questions, and then you're probably not going to get that card back.
mm.
So,
There's going to be a new game board, which we got a little preview of here. Uh, looks pretty interesting. Very witchy, haunted woods kind of deal. And What you think about the reveal trailer?
It was silly. I
I liked it a lot, actually.
I liked it. Like I just like the idea of finding cards out in the woods. Like, oh, this is that card that we made. It's out in the woods. Spooky.
Or
Uh,
when they're running away at the end, they're like, "It's too OP! It's too OP! Nerf it!
yeah,
Nerf
fun.
it!"
But I think it's
uh,
kind of odd they released an OP card for Shaman
hmm.
because I feel like Warrior kind of needs the OPness. The OPness.
uh,
Because Shaman, I feel like, is still viable, especially right now. I haven't made a deck yet for it, but between the Void Lords and, well, pretty much Shaman doing all the weird stuff that they, or not Shaman, Warlock doing all the stuff they do, and you having Devolve and Hex, I feel like Shaman's in a really good place, just nobody's really exploiting it. And they have all the AoE for Paladin, so I don't know why Shaman's not at the top of the list right now, but I feel like it will be soon.
hmm. All right, and let's see. Let's go over the cards that were released from this set so far. So we have a couple of interesting new mechanics. So uh, we'll go ahead and we'll cover the couple of cards. The only card in this set here that we're looking at now that doesn't have a weird new mechanic is Azalina Soul Thief, 7 mana, 3/3, Battle Cry. Replace your hand with a copy of your opponent's. Now I know a lot of people are hailing this as like a neutral, what is it, divine favor?
Divine. Yeah.
And basically saying, oh well, if you're an aggro deck, you can play this and refill your hand. Or what do you think? What's your first impression of this card?
My first impression, like once everybody said Divine Favor, I think that's how it's going to be used. But I think there's so much more cool stuff you could do. You could just completely destroy combo decks with this. And that's what seems really fun to me. Like 7 mana, you're probably not going to finish whatever, but like, okay, let's say you're playing against Warlock, and they finish their stupid little Ren the Disciple quest. And you're like, oh, well, guess what? I also have that card now. So fuck you. That seems awesome to me.
I
Or
sense a
just
little bit of like, bad history.
there's none. There's none. No, I'm fine. No, so that would be really cool. I don't like any kind of deck that does some sort of like you don't have a way to interact with me thing. Um, so you could also do that too. I mean, I would say Quest Mage, but that's going to be gone from Standard anyways because
Whoa,
Ice
whoa,
Block won't
whoa!
be a thing anymore.
Wild over here. Okay.
Yeah, you could do it wild, or people that think that they're getting by with something sneaky. Like anytime somebody thinks that they're about to pull a Leroy on you or something,
Yeah.
you can just switch decks with them, and then they lose the element of surprise. 2 Pyroblasts in hand. Okay, well now I know what to play around. I like the card a lot. I think it's fun.
I am not thrilled with it. Like, if I'm being honest, it makes me think of stuff like Benedictus or Togwaggle and stuff.
I
Where it's
love
like,
Benedictus.
you know,
Togwag's pretty cool too.
right? But just like I don't think I
After this, we should play a match with you versus my Benedictus deck.
I have Benedictus too, so you make up one of those. Just do double.
Oh my
Benedictus.
goodness! Imagine if we each had like 60 cards in our deck. That would be so much fun.
Be playing Magic the Gathering. Yeah, I'm not too impressed with this card. I mean, I don't know. I think the mana cost is really high. For it to
That
get
is the
played in
worst.
like an aggro deck or something like that, and I don't know. I could see it in a deck where you're just wanting to refill your hand with something, but I don't know.
Oh, my wife brought me fixins for some delicious pho.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So let's move on and talk about some of the new mechanics. We'll start with the one that's not really that new, and we'll take a look at the Phantom Militia. This has Echo, and Echo means these cards can be cast multiple times in the same turn. Pretty much, it's the effect that Unstable Evolution has, where if you have 3 mana, you can play this card once. If you have 6, you can play it twice. If you have 9 or 10, you can play it 3 times in a turn with a single card. And at the end of the turn, the card will leave your hand. You can use one card to play multiple copies of the same minion or maybe the same spell. And this one is a 3 mana 2/4 Echo and Taunt. So we'll take this in 2 parts, talk about the card itself, talk about the Echo mechanic in general. As far as the card goes, I'm not very impressed by a 3 mana 2/4, even if you can play a bunch of times, because I'm thinking if I've got 9 mana, I don't want to play this 3 times. I want to play something a lot more impactful.
Why wouldn't I just play 2 Serenite Chain Gangs?
Exactly. Now, the Echo mechanic itself, I like a lot. I loved Unstable Evolution as a concept, and that one was really cool because you got to keep evolving a card over and over again and getting something random and interesting, and it's like like a surprise every time. When I saw that they were making Echo an actual thing, one of the first things I kind of thought about was Quest Rogue. Like this one, if there's a cheap Echo card that's a minion and isn't complete garbage, that could make Quest Rogue a lot easier to complete. Or like Quest Hunter, even Priest. Like anything where they want you to play a minion, if they put a cheap Echo in, it could be a good way to get those quests going a lot more consistently. So I like the Echo mechanic in general. I'm not sure. I really need to see some other cards they're going to put out with Echo because I'm not very impressed by Phantom Militia.
I agree. I think that this card itself is garbage. All everybody's been talking about is, oh, well, if you have Summoning Portal, you could make, like,
right.
out of it. Okay, so what you're saying is this is a a Warlock specific card that's been put in standard. Neutral. That's dumb. I don't want to play that. That's dumb.
In a world where Warlocks are going to say, you know what? Yeah, I don't need Void Lords. I'll do Phantom Militias instead.
I guess hypothetically, maybe an aggro deck, if it makes it to the late game, is like, oh, well, I don't have anything else to play, so I'm just going to play 3 Phantom Militia. I guess, kind of, but in general, I don't like this card. I like the Echo mechanic, but I like Echo more with things like you're talking about, like RNG-related stuff, where you can play around with it. Or one thing that would be really cool is something like you were talking about for things that require multiple playing of the same thing. So, like, if there was an Echo for a 1-cost minion, it could help you complete the Hunter quest, or it could help you complete the Rogue quest. Or if they had maybe a Rogue spell that had Echo that was like Backstab, but it only did 1 damage or something, and it costs 0 mana. Okay, well, if you played that on every minion in a single turn, imagine how big you could make, like, an Edwin or something. Or you could use that, the one that deals damage for every card you played that turn. Like, Rogue could make big advantage of the Echo mechanic if you had something like that. That'd be really cool.
And that's part of the reason that I think they won't put out neutral cheap Echo cards. I think it's fairly unlikely that they do that. So the next mechanic that is new is Rush. And we'll take a look at that on the Militia Commander here. This is a warrior card. So Rush is charge, but your minions can only attack other minions. So
that's charging. Yes.
Minions with Rush can attack other minions the same turn they are played. They cannot go face. So in the case of the Militia Commander, 4 mana 2/5 with the Battle Cry, you gain +3 attack this turn. So if you play it from hand, it becomes a 5/5 with charge that can hit minions but not face.
Right.
So once again, kind of look at the card and look at the mechanic itself. You want to take this one first?
I think this is an awesome card in like every sense. I think this is a really awesome card. It's just pretty much a better version of the 2/5 with charge. Um, like I mean, yeah, it's kind of a different niche in the sense where the 2/5 with charge you could play that in a free stack and you could do Divine Spirit Inner Fire. But Militia Commander is like I don't know how I feel about it being a warrior specific card. I haven't really thought about the implications a lot. But the ability to fight for board control on turn 4 with a minion is really cool. Like right now, the only card I can really think of off the top of my head that does that is Fireplume Phoenix, which is a really good card, but it doesn't see a lot of play because its stats are so low. But this is like the same thing, but a better version, essentially. So I think it's really cool.
I think it's really interesting. The Battle Cry Rush combo on this card is very unique because it comes out as a powerful card, a 4-mana 5/5 with a pseudo charge
Yes.
is pretty strong, but it's
Yes.
balanced by the fact that if you're using it to, hit into another minion, at the end of the turn it goes back down to 2 attack and it's probably lost some of its health, so it's a reasonable minion that your opponent is able to deal with. So I think it's pretty balanced in that sense.
Hmm.
And you can't take advantage of that pseudo charge to go face and OTK your opponent or anything like that. So I think that this is a pretty cool card in general, and I do like the rush mechanic. It is very frustrating to have cards in hand, and because of the power of charge when it goes face, most charge minions have been pretty crap for fighting against the board
Right.
because they have to design them with, okay, this is going to go face in mind. So if they're able to utilize this rush mechanic to give you ways to fight for the board with minions instead of spells, especially in the classes that don't have great spell removal like druid, like this could be a really awesome mechanic. And I would love to see warrior, druid, maybe even paladin, these classes that don't have fireballs and shadow bolts and
Well, I mean, Paladin has True Silver. There just
paladin
aren't.
has a lot of weapon removal and a lot of heals to like
Yeah.
recover from it and a lot of tools, and more so I think especially warrior and maybe druid, because that when I'm playing against a druid, a lot of times I'm just like, well, whatever I put down, you're not getting rid of it.
Yeah.
You might be able to kill it with your minions and stuff, but you're probably, if it's got more than 4 health, good
Yeah.
luck. And so if this provides them a way where when I'm playing against a druid and I put something down, I'm like, oh man, I gotta consider whether or not they have this rush minion that could remove my guy. I
Hmm.
think that's a good thing. That's a positive direction for the game.
I do too, and I think the only reason you're not seeing more weapon-based removal in Paladin right now is just because there aren't that many control Paladins out there.
Yeah.
But if they make a lot more of these rush minions like this, I think you'll start seeing more and more control game, which is what I like to see.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like games to last till turn 30, but I also don't like for them to only last till turn 6, you know?
Right. So the next mechanic we have that isn't tied to a keyword, it's just something they're kind of doing this time around, is the transformation mechanic. Is I guess what I would call it. It's themed around the Worgens. So if you don't know what a Worgen is, it's basically a werewolf in World of Warcraft. It's a human who is cursed and can turn into a like wolf man.
That seems
Werewolf.
awesome. How is that a curse?
It's a whole long story. So we have the Pumpkin Peasant. So this is a 3-mana 2/4 with lifesteal, and every turn it swaps its stats. So if this is in your hand at the start of the game on turn 1, it'll be a 2/4. On
I think it'll
turn
be a 4
2,
too.
well, yeah, we'll have to see exactly.
That's
But
on the Rubian Prophet.
okay. The next turn, it'll be a 4/2. And then the next turn, it'll go back to a 2/4, then a 4/2, then a 2/4. So you kind of have the ability to play this with the stat line that you want it to have, as long as the timing of the turn that it's on that stat line lines up with when you want to play it. So, and this particular card, 3 mana 2/4 with lifesteal, I'm not crazy impressed by this particular card. And I think this mechanic is a little bit weird because it seems cool at first until you're thinking like, oh, it's turn 5, my guy's in the 4/2 configuration, I really want to play him, but I need him in the 2/4 configuration. Do I not play him and wait till the next turn when he's at the stats that I want, or do I play him now because I need to play something? And I don't, with this card in particular, I don't like the randomness of that. Like, it's a predictable randomness, but it's still random.
Mm-hmm.
If you really need to just put out something with health so that you can it can stay on the board and you can get a buff on it or something, and this guy's in the 4/2, too bad. If you really need to put out that 4/2 with the high attack because you need to get rid of something they have on the board and it's in 2/4, too bad. And generally in Hearthstone, that's not the way you want to play. You don't want to play where you're delaying the best play for a turn arbitrarily.
Mm-hmm.
So
I agree. Like, the only way it would really work is if you mulligan for that card specifically, and you're like, well, I know on such and such turn it's going to have this stat line, so I can do this. But you would never mulligan for a 3-mana 2/4 lifesteal for any reason.
No.
So this card specifically, like, no, that doesn't make any sense.
So we'll have to see what other cards they come out with that have the same kind of mechanic, and whether they might be high value enough to warrant, all the bullshit you're going to have to deal with trying to play this properly.
Like, Shifting Rager. One turn, it's a 5/1.
5/1, then a 1. Yeah, that'd be amazing. All right, so let's get into the meat and potatoes of like the crazy stuff. The stuff we like because we love to do weird deck building things. And we've got an entirely new type of deck building conundrum challenge brought to us in this expansion through Baku the Moon Eater and Gin Greymane. So they introduced this odd even mechanic. So we'll just go ahead. We'll cover both of them, and then we'll dive into them a little bit more specifically. So Baku the Moon Eater is a 9 mana 7/8 beast at the start of the game. So this works like Malkazar. If your deck has only odd cost cards, upgrade your hero power. Now these upgraded hero powers are the same as Justicar Trueheart.
Or Raza. No.
A list. And Gin Greymane is a 6 mana 6/5 start of the game. If your deck has only even cost cards, your starting hero power costs 1. So a couple of quick notes here. Your upgraded hero power, if you play a Death Knight or something, it gets replaced by the Death Knight ability, so you won't have it anymore. Your 1 cost hero power, if you're using Gin Greymane, if that gets replaced by a Death Knight, it'll go back to being 2. If you replace it with, Jiraxis or something, it will not remain 1. It's only your starting hero power. Obviously, you can't use these two together to get an upgraded 1 cost hero power. That doesn't work either, because one's odd, one's even. So, yeah, I will let you kick it off here as far as, whichever one you are most excited about or want to talk about. Baku or Gin.
I think they're both really good and really fun. Especially because this isn't as restrictive as something like Spell Hunter, where it's only spells,
Yeah.
And so, like Baku, a lot of people were talking about how Baku would make, or not Baku, but I think Gin Greymane would make a really good Warlock card. And my first thought was, Baku would make a really good Warlock card. Just because they were like, you could have Mountain Giant on turn 3. Yeah, But you could also have Skull of Minari, you could have Void Lackey, you could have Void Lord, you could have Doom Guard, and have Baku the Moon Eater and be able to tap for free. Not free, but not taking any damage, which
Hmm.
means that your one cost spell that's going to heal you for 8 is going to be even more valuable. You're not cutting any major cards when you're playing in a Warlock deck. So there's all kinds of awesome stuff you could already do with a deck that's crazy overpowered by using Baku, I think. The only thing you're losing and is pretty much the Mountain Giant. But I guess what I'm talking about more is the control lock variant right now
Yeah.
than the Q block. But I think it could become a crazy overpowered deck. So that was my first thought. And again, Greymane, a lot of people are talking about doing like aggro hunter, I think, and
Hmm.
just starting the game. Well, you could do aggro hunter with either one, really, and it'd be fun. So, what do you think?
I haven't looked too much into the odd and even cost cards because I don't want to get in too far into that research until the expansion cards are out. Plus, I play Wild, so there's a lot more cards to look at. Um, but I know Baku. I think I want to try to make a Secrets Mage with Baku. Uh, having a ping that does 2 damage and a bunch of secrets, and you know, you could still use like your Cabal Lackey and things like that, which we're talking wild here, but
Right.
and you still get like your Flame Strikes. You get some good stuff in there still. So that's the only thing off the top of my head that I went, oh yeah, maybe that'd be interesting. Or I'm also just generally speaking, Taunt Warrior. I'm always going to try to make a new version of that. And then I'm also interested in a 1 cost Hunter Hero power and a 2 cost upgraded Hunter Hero power. That being said, Justicar Trueheart was mainly known for the Warrior ability. So I've got the hero power upgrades that are here. And we can take a look at these. So for Druid, gain 2 armor and 2 attack. Right? Pretty solid. Hunter, you got deal 3 damage to the enemy hero. Mage, deal 2 damage. Priest, restore 4 health. That's going to be annoying as hell. Shaman, summon a totem of your choice.
Totemic Slam. I
Ooh.
like that. It's
And
fun
welcome
name.
to the jam. Rogue, equip a 2/2 weapon. That was always the laughing stock of Justicar Trueheart, and I think it will still be. Warlock, draw a card, but you don't take the damage. Warrior, tank up. 4 armor. And then Paladin, summon 2 1/1 recruits. There's some strong stuff there. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with these cards. But like I
I bet
said, I haven't
Tank
looked
Up.
into it too much.
Tank Up would be really good if you just combined it with that hero legendary. I mean, the warrior legendary. Creates a minion, your armor, 8 cost.
Yeah, but you can't use it with Baku.
Oh, you're right.
You
That
can use it
sucks.
with Justicar, but you have to draw Justicar and then play Justicar. And that is a good thing I like about these. With the start of the game mechanic, it gives you some legitimate deck building options.
Yeah.
Because that's always the thing when you're counting on something like that to define your deck, and then you don't pull it. Like when you're counting on a weapon like the Dragon Soul. You're
Yeah.
like, I need to generate dragons, and it's the 28th card in your deck. Well, there goes your game.
Yep.
So, and those are the first 6 cards that they revealed. We'll double check in here and see if there were any uh, notable pieces of information. So 0 counts as an even number. So 0 cost cards will work with Gen Greymane. They won't work with Baku. Let's see. There's going to be new filters added to the collection, so you can sort by odds and evens.
Oh, cool.
Malkazar will not cause Baku. Baku will still work if Malkazar adds even cards to your deck. Obviously, Greymane won't work if you have Malkazar in there because he's an odd cost card. Shifting Scroll counts as a 0 cost card. And then I think that's pretty much it. Deathstalker Rexar is going to be updated to include Kobold and Witchwood Beasts when the expansion comes out. So there you go.
Cool.
So we got a Hearthstone chat where they introduced a few more cards to cover the odd-even mechanic. We got 3 odd cost cards and an even cost card. So the first one we got was Glitter Moth. This is a priest card, 5 mana 4/4 beast. Battle cry: if your deck has only odd cost cards, double the health of your other minions. So for some context, you're playing priest. You got Baku in there, start of the game. You've got the upgraded priest power, so you're able to heal for 4 with your hero power. And now you have Glitter Moth. So what do you think?
I don't know, man. That doesn't seem great to me. Just because, when are you really going to have a board if you're only playing like cards every other turn? I mean, I guess you could have a bunch of 1s and a bunch of 3s, but I don't know. Like, I feel like you're going to be using a lot of removal if you're playing this, maybe. I'm just not sure if it's feasible to make a big board that you can double the health of everything with. I like the idea, though.
Well, could you... So Divine Spirit is a 2 cost?
Yes.
So this is a way for you to do Divine Spirit Inner Fire combos with an odd cost deck.
I guess if you had... Well, you couldn't do 2 of them at a time, though. So you're unlikely to be able to get something above, like, 15 health.
Yeah.
I guess it's something.
Yeah, I'm not impressed with the Glitter Moth. I don't like that kind of priest anyway. If I'm being honest, I just don't like priest in general. The only priest I like to play is meme style priest, where I steal all your stuff and then lose because that's not the way you build a deck. Just getting random crap from the other person. So yeah, I'm not thrilled about Glitter Moth. And then we got Gloomstag. This is a new Druid card, which doesn't have Rush. Oh well. But it is a 5 mana 2/6 taunt battle cry. If your deck has only odd cost cards, gain +2/+2. So you would have a 4 mana or 5 mana 4/8. You're also playing with odd cost, so you've got the 2 attack, 2 armor hero power. What do you think?
I wish it cost 6. I feel like if you're running a defensive deck, you want Ironwood Golem in there. Yeah, isn't that kind of the point? So I wish it cost 6 or it cost 4. Had different stats. The way you're playing it right now, you're losing Spreading Plague. You are losing I forget what it's called, the 4 mana gain 6 armor recruit a minion that costs 4 less.
Oaken Summons.
Oaken Summons. You're losing some of your best defensive cards. You're losing Branching Paths to play a 5 mana 4/8. I just feel like it doesn't synergize with the cards that Druid already has. Maybe they did that on purpose. Maybe they thought this card's too strong to include it with those other cards, because then Druid could just become too powerful. But as it is, it doesn't really synergize with what Druid already has.
Yeah. And the taunt buff guy isn't he a 4 mana?
I don't remember.
I think someone dropped
Nobody ever plays him. I never see him.
Yeah. Well, first off, I love the name and the art. WoW Druids run around as stags in their travel form, and also on my hunter I've got a stag pet, so I like the Gloom Stag thing thematically. I think this card might have potential, but I don't know where yet. I think the Beast tag in Druid is relevant, especially if we're talking about Wild, which is where I play. That being said, basically all I'm looking to do with Druid this expansion is make Recruit Druid even more fun. And this doesn't fit that because it costs 5 mana. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Next up, we got Black Cat. This is a mage card, 3 mana 3/3, spell damage +1. Battle cry: if your deck has only odd cost cards, draw a card. So once again, odd cost. You're playing with the 2 mana, deal 2 damage to whatever you want. I think it's a pretty good card.
I think it's solid, yeah.
I mean, stat line 3 mana 3/3. It's not too impressive. Beast and Mage doesn't do anything crazy, but you got spell damage +1 and card draw. Like, that's pretty solid. And I think that, you're maybe if you're playing an odd cost Mage deck, you're going for an aggressive strategy. You've got the 2 damage ping. That's what I would be doing. Well, odd cost cards, maybe not. You're losing Frostbolt, you're losing Fireball, you're losing Pyroblast, you're losing all the things. Okay, aggressive Secret Mage, you've got explosive runes. I was going to say maybe the spell damage is good. This is so you can do a 5 damage Flame Strike. Yeah, okay, nope. My theory fails.
No, I was just gonna say the opposite. You could play Frostlit Shanna, you could play Flame Strike, you can play Dragon's Fury. You'd have to include some of the weirder spells like Breath of Sindragosa.
You could play Deck of Wonders.
You could play Deck of Wonders. Yeah.
Yes.
You could play Arcane Artificer. So I think it's more of a defensive card, and which is kind of weird because I feel like most of the time spell damage on something like a Flame Strike isn't really relevant.
Right.
But
and if it is, then you're probably in trouble anyway.
Yeah. They have a board full of 5 cost or 5 health minions. You're kind of screwed.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. I know, I didn't get a lot of play in on my Deck of Wonders deck for Mage this time around because the engine didn't work as well. I probably just need to craft Alaneth and just call it a day, but I haven't been willing to do that yet, so we'll see with the odd cost cards. I'll probably try and do something with it. And then the final card that they showed off is a Shaman card, 2 mana 2/3 beast. This is the Merkspark Eel. Battle Cry: if your deck has only even cost cards, deal 2 damage. So you're playing with Gen Greymane. Your hero power cost 1, so you're summoning totems for 1. And I think it's a pretty strong card, man.
I think it's strong in general. Obviously, it's not as strong as the Mage card. What is it? Medivh's Valet.
Right.
But
it has a condition that you can meet when you're deck building, as opposed to having to draw it.
That's true, but there's so many different ways to get secret spells. I mean,
yeah. Medivh's Valet is objectively,
awesome. Yeah,
objectively better. Plus, 1 mana totems.
Yeah,
I just don't know if I care.
Merkspark. Let's see. So you're losing your control cards. Well, you're keeping Maelstrom Portal. You're losing Lightning Storm, which I guess doesn't see a lot of play. You're losing Volcano. You already lost Evolution. You're losing Unstable Evolution. So I think you have to go kind of hard aggro here, right? You're going to be running 2 copies of. Well, no, the Jade card's gone too. There's no more Jade Lightning.
You can keep your 4 mana 7/7 in Wild.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know. What does a Shaman have that isn't rotating to Wild that's not an odd cost card?
Probably a bunch of freeze this, freeze that stuff that hasn't gotten used yet.
Yeah, probably.
What?
Icebreaker? What is that? 2 mana?
I don't remember, man. I've got a deck with it in there, but I barely play it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the cards that have been revealed so far. The card reveals themselves are supposed to start on the 26th, which is about a week and a half away. And we'll have more cards to talk about. Maybe they'll pitch a couple more at us between now and then because, everybody's going to be, where are the cards? Where are the cards? Why would you do this to us? So we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
You're really making me think, though, about this whole Shaman conundrum. All of their good cards right now come from Mean Streets. Every single one.
Well, that's why they're getting Hagatha.
I guess so. But they're all rotating out because they had that one expansion where they're like, we're just going to make everything freeze. And so now Shaman is sunk because of that. So
It'll be, and maybe they put out the freeze card that ties it all together. They find
Blizzard, they're just gonna give them Blizzard. That's what's going to happen.
they find a dry ice. Yeah, it's find dry ice in the Witchwood, and that's what happens.
Cryostasis. I actually like Cryostasis. I think it's a fun card, but just too experimental.
All right, so we also moving on from the expansion. That's the cards. That's the expansion. We're obviously excited about it. We had patch 10.4 come in with the special arena cards, the pre-order for the Witchwood, new brawls, free card packs, all that kind of good stuff. The big thing here, this says 20 free card packs. It's not. This is from data mine information. Basically, they're going to be some log in and get a free pack kind of things coming our way. I really doubt it'll be 20 free card packs, especially considering the bonus they added to the pre-order. But we should get, 3, 4, 5 packs for free as the expansion comes out, and then, about 3 when it actually releases for logging in. Some of the other days that are leading up to the expansion, we'll get some Kobolds card packs. So that'd be nice. Free cards or free dust leading into an expansion is always great. And the idea behind that is that they're probably going to be rewarded for completing daily quests. So we'll see what happens when that is actually officially announced as a thing. 9 special arena cards have been added to the game. We're going to talk about that in a minute when we get into arena. We already covered the pre-order. Couple new brawls coming our way, and that's about it from the patch that came out. So let's jump in and talk about arena changes. All right, so big changes to the arena that maybe didn't sound too huge and probably ended up being more impactful than intended, I think. So the original change for the arena is Blizzard came out and they said, hey, we're going to be changing things so that, the cards that you're offered in your arena picks aren't tied to rarity. They're tied to the power level of the card. So instead of getting 3 commons, you might get a common, a rare, and an epic, but they should all be about the same power level, so you really have to choose which one you want instead of just looking at it and going, I have 3 choices, 2 of them are garbage, 1 of them is obviously better than the other one. I picked that, and that's 90% of your entire arena draft. With that, they were going to say the legendaries will stay the same. Some of those bottom of the barrel kind of crap arena cards were going to appear less often, and that they were removing the expansion bonus until Witchwood came out. So, and all the other stuff was going to stay in place. So you still get your bonus to spells, your bonus to weapons, your bonus to class cards. So that came out. And I don't know how many arenas you played while that was ongoing. I played 2 where I drafted decks and I was like, holy crap. The first deck I drafted had 4 fireballs. And I was like, oh my god, I got 4 fireballs. Woo, 12 wins. Let's go, baby. And then it was like, I just ran into people where, I told you, I ran into a paladin running elemental synergies that he got elemental chains for 5 turns in paladin. And then playing against people who are like, oh, here's Lich King. Here's, this legendary, that legendary. Oh, by the way, I got Ysera, I got Yasiraj, just... And I'm sitting here with a deck that prior to this change would have just annihilated people, like double flame strike, blizzard, volcanic potion, 4 fireballs, just like disgusting. And I got my butt kicked, man. I think I went 2-3 or 3-3 or something because I just got obliterated by these monster decks. And I played another one where I drafted a hunter and I almost hit retire before I played a single game, and I was like, nah, I'll do it. 1-3 because that's when I fought that paladin. It was disgusting. So my experience was not very good, and I decided, at this point, looking at the state of arena, I'll save my gold for some expansion packs instead of playing this stuff because this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
What about you? Did you play a couple
I
arenas?
played a couple, yeah, and then I didn't want to play anymore. It's fun when you're playing someone of equal. One of the things I like about Arena is that when you play Standard, the way you get good at Standard is that you memorize every single person's deck. And then you're like, okay, well, here's what they're probably going to do next turn, so I'm going to do this instead. In Arena, you normally make the best play for your turn because you can't expect a person to have such and such card most of the time. But when a person just, it's like, well, turn eight's coming up. They're going to play a legendary. What am I going to do about that? It's like, okay, well, which insane
Nothing.
legendary do they have? You
Yeah.
can't really, like, play around that. You can't make the best play for your turn when you have to just be able to say, oh, well, I'm going to get blown out next turn. What can I do about that? Because you don't know.
Nothing.
You don't know, like, how
And
ridiculous their next turn is going to be.
there isn't even the control aspect of rarity, right? You used to be able to say, oh, well, Meteor is an epic. So they might have
One
it,
in
but
five
probably
chance
not.
they have it. Yeah.
Now it's like, no. you know, two, I got offered Pyroblast 4 times in my mage draft. I was just like, what? I didn't want 4 Pyroblasts, but that's for that many epics to come up. That specific one, that wasn't the only one I got. Like, you can't even use that as a guide of saying, oh, well, Fireball's common. I should watch out for that, or, or whatever it is. Basic, whatever. But
Yeah. I went 0-3 on the last one I ran during that, which, like, I'm not saying I'm great at Arena, but I normally average, I think, like 4.5 wins.
not 0-3.
Not zero.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think normally like 4 to 5 wins is about where I am. And the last guy I played had naturally drafted Soggoth and, like, the Lich King or something. And I saw a stat today on Reddit that said the Lich King is in 9% of all Arena decks. That's so stupid.
That's ridiculous.
That's so stupid. And for me to be playing against a guy who's gone 0-2 that has 2 really good legendaries in Arena in his deck is stupid. It's just nonsense. But they fixed it. They already fixed it. It's already
Right,
fixed.
so that's the arena changes. What, days? Or maybe a week at most after those changes were applied. We've got a hot fix to arena where they have basically made it so that legendary picks appear less often, and below average picks will appear more often. They say they're going to keep a close eye on things. So obviously, I think these changes will improve the current arena experience, but my impression overall, I have to agree with some of the streamers I've been listening to talk about arena, where, one of the things I like about arena is it's not constructed. You don't, like, there are 135 cards that come out in an expansion. Maybe a third, if you're lucky, a third of those get played and constructed, and the rest are just, like, consigned to the collection screen. But when you play arena, you get to see all those cards, and you get to find these weird synergies that, you look at a card like we did earlier and we go, it doesn't look that good. But then you have to play it in arena and you're like, oh, I never thought about this. And you find a synergy and you can carry those over into constructed. That's what I believe, that's one of the ways that, some people found out about the what is it, the cheating out the Void Lord with the little demon guy. I can't remember his name. The 2/2 was they got him in arena, and they found, oh, you can sneak out a Void Lord with this guy, or just weird synergies like that. And the fact that those, I mean, I agree. There's a level of cards that are complete rubbish in arena that you, like, will never draft ever. And those cards, sure, if they never showed up, whatever. That's probably a better arena experience. But I don't want to see the Chillwind Yetis go away.
Right.
Because that's the only place they get played.
Yeah. I remember talking to a guy, this is one of my friends list, uh, who's every time, like, I regularly see these little things in my bottom left-hand corner that say, he just started an arena run. He's already at 10 wins. He's already at 11 wins. He's already at 12 wins. Or, well, he just finished the thing, 12 wins. But I remember asking him one day when he went like 12-1 or something. I was like, how did you do this? And he said, oh, well, I picked Mana Wraith. And then I built my deck around it. Nobody would ever put Mana Wraith in a constructed deck. And this guy had put it in his arena deck and had used it to destroy everybody. Like, nobody does that, but in arena it happens.
Right, and that's, it's this realm where, whatever you want to say, standard gets stale. Wild gets stale. Like, decks rise to the top, and you play against the same shit over and over again. And in arena, sure, you see a lot of the same powerful cards because you want to pick them when they show up, but there's a mix of just mid-tier, trash-tier stuff that's thrown in there, and you have to learn to play with it and play around it. And I think there's value in that, and that's what I enjoy about arena. So, overall, I don't know how I feel about especially the mixed rarity thing. I think that is having more impact on arena than maybe they anticipated. And it's really, like you said, you can't predict what your opponent is going to do in arena, but it was always kind of playing the percentages is where arena you had the opportunity to show skill and say, well, I know that this card could wreck me in this situation, but this card is an epic, so they probably don't have it. Or this card is a common, there's a good chance they have it, so I'm going to play around it or not play around it. I'm going to roll the dice and hope that my intuition, my knowledge of the game, the percentages and stuff are going to fall in my favor, and you can do that. And now, especially in these two arenas that I just did, it was like you said, all right, turn 8's coming up. I'll put something on the board, but I didn't draft a single legendary. Why does this guy have Lich King and Ragnaros Light Lord and, Tyrion? Like, what?
Yeah, but now that it's fixed, I mean, you just saw me play an arena game, and what did I keep saying on, like, turn 7? Well, I can't play Sea Giant because the quality is going to come out. And it's kind of back there. And it did come out, and I lost anyways. So.
Yeah, so hopefully these little tweaks they made will bring it kind of back into balance. And, I really do hope they keep an eye on it. So that being said, did you get a chance to play with any of the
yes,
arena-specific cards? Which ones did you use?
The only one I've used so far, because I wasn't playing Arena after that silly stuff was going on, the only one I used was Crackling Doom, which is awesome. Maybe it's not called Crackling Doom. It's the Shaman one. Deals 12 damage to all minions on board. That card is fantastic. Really cool. Because, like, when I first saw it, I was like, oh, it clears the board, but then I'm overloaded for 10, so I can't do anything. But then I realized, like, if you're playing that late game, you can play it, and then you can just fill the board up with your minions, because you can play it on the same turn because it costs 0. And that's awesome. It's really cool. And I had somebody use it against me, and they wrecked me. Really powerful. But I only drew it once in any of my games, but that's one I have experience with. I thought it worked really well. Shamans already have Volcano, but that was, it's a really good card.
I got to play with the Hunter one, where it allowed your hero power to target minions for the rest of the game. And
That's awesome.
What I found with that is it really messed with my head. I was just like, no, Hunter power goes face. It goes face. And I was like, should I use this for face or minions? Face or minions? And everything was like, no, it only goes face, face, face. What are you doing, Hunter? And I also got to play with the mage one. Not very impressed.
Which one's the mage?
The mage is polymorph question question question,
Oh yeah,
where you
that
can
was
choose a minion and choose to transform it into something. And what I found is that on average, it gave me a pretty good minion that didn't actually help me. Or if I used it on my opponent, it gave them a pretty good minion that didn't actually help me. It's like, okay, my options were like Chillwind Yeti either time I used it. It wasn't like, oh, I got a charge minion and this changes the game, or I turned their guy into a doomsayer and now all their stuff's gonna die. It was just like, well, here's a minion with pretty good stats, and yeah, in no way did this change your turn or the outcome of the next turn. So I wasn't very impressed by that one.
I think that's kind of Mage's whole shtick right now, though, is like RNG,
Yeah.
cards that are based around different kinds of RNG. But the best interaction I saw was on Reddit. This guy had the Priest card, which gives your opponent a minion, and then you draw 3 cards. And he used it on Daring Reporter, his own Daring Reporter. So then he drew 3 cards and bumped up his Daring Reporter for his enemy to like a 6/6. That was really hilarious.
That's a Trollden moment for sure.
Yeah, that was awesome. So that was really cool. But I like the cards in general. I just like the idea of creating a different identity for Arena by giving it these separate cards. I think that's fun.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So, all right, moving on. Last time we were up, we kind of went through the Community Choice Awards choices that were up on Hearthstone, and now we're just going to run through and see what the community actually picked, and what our thoughts are on it.
No, Knights of the Frozen Throne was not that good.
So we said, best expansion. The community voted pretty overwhelmingly for Knights of the Frozen Throne, and the one that we both enjoyed quite a bit for the deck building aspect, Kobolds and Catacombs, actually got a pretty small portion of 13% voted Kobolds and Catacombs.
Is this for Hearthstone specifically?
It's for the community on Hearthstone that voted for it. So that's the context, right? So
you're talking about people that post on message boards.
Yeah,
their favorite is Knights of the Frozen Throne. So like the 4chan type crowd. Yeah, I can believe that. They're probably all dicks. Yeah, so they have bad opinions. Kobolds and Catacombs was way better.
Yeah, I definitely I gotta wholeheartedly disagree here. Especially the degree to which Kobolds and Catacombs was less than everything else. I do think DKs were awesome, but
yeah, I mean, I guess all I can see out of this is I really like Knights of the Frozen Throne specifically because it had strong cards in it, I guess,
or just because Lich King,
yeah, because it had good cards, but that's not everything an expansion is.
Yeah,
I think it's silly to just pick based off of that, which is what it seems like people did. Kobolds and Catacombs was much better just for solo player content.
Yeah. Well, trust me, this is just going to be us being angry.
Yeah. Screw you guys.
Just trust me on that one. So, Hall of Fame card that you missed the most, number 1 was Ragnaros, which is what I said because I was doing it from the context of, what's the card that I want to use the most, or I think I'd use the most. And yeah, Ragnaros was there. Runner-ups were Azure Drake and Sylvanas. So taking a look at the pie chart of the options here. I know we did say, that's the next one coming up, but yeah, I think this makes sense. I am surprised that more people miss Conceal than Ice Lance. But
I that was before my time, honestly. I came in around Whispers of the Old Gods and Conceal. While it wasn't doomed at that point, I wasn't seeing a lot of decks with it.
Yeah. So. Well, Ice Lance used to be really dope for Frostbolt, Frostbolt, Ice Lance to just do a huge burst of damage.
Yeah.
So I'm surprised that Conceal got more votes than that, and then most painful nerf, Fiery War Axe, then Raza, then Innervate. I think for this one, we just said, well, which one got nerfed the hardest, and my thoughts on that one were Corridor Creeper.
I feel like I'm seeing a theme with these Hearthstone people, and that's that all they care about is winning. That's what
Yeah,
these cards are saying to me.
yeah.
That they played the broken decks and they just win all the time. And any of our constituents, anybody that's watching this video, all two of you that ever watch
Years from
this,
now.
years from now, when you find this video as some sort of memento of the past, if you are a Hearthstoner like this guy Tetsuko, this loser right here, you suck because all you care about is winning, and there's more to having fun.
Definitely. All I care about is winning. Yep, that's why I have a Deck of Wonders deck.
It is.
So I can win.
Okay, I'm saying that you're the exception in something like this because apparently all these people care about is winning.
I go here for the news, but this is just a neat thing to look at. We skipped over card art from the new expansions because, it's just too wide open. Most annoying deck to play against. I think we both said this. Jade Druid. Because it's just been around for so damn long.
Yeah.
And that's really... There's a lot of annoying decks to play against, but... And we've been playing against Jade Druid for over a year. So.
I think Pirate Warrior was the most annoying one to play against. Closely followed for me by Tempo Rogue. But right now...
Is Pirate Rogue even in here? It's not, is it?
No, neither of them are. It looks like it's only for right now. Decks that are in right now. Because none of these other ones really exist.
And then we had favorite quest, and I have to agree.
Awaken the Mage. I am surprised to say that. That is not something I expected to see.
I don't know. It got played a good amount during Journey to Ungoro, like when it first came out, and then it just kind of died.
Yeah, I don't know. Caverns Below, I'm kind of surprised that wasn't.
I think people are salty about the nerf, and that's probably why it's lower.
What it is.
Because I think without the nerf, Caverns Below would have been significantly higher.
Yeah, I think they want to show their disdain for. They took away my 1,000 win percent. Jungle Giants is my favorite. I think is probably what I said.
Yeah.
There's some cool stuff you can do.
All right, best Death Knight. So this was surprising to me, to an extent. I mean, not the ones that are up here, but how low Rogue is. But I guess it makes sense. It does make sense.
This is all class representation. As 40% play Blood Reaver Gul'dan, and then 20% play Frostless Jaina. These are completely representative of the current archetypes.
Yeah.
Well, except for Shadow Reaper, because
he got nerfed, so
yeah,
he's down there. I did say I think Gul'dan overall, is one of the best for sure, and one of my favorites because I always wanted to play Demon Warlock, and he kind of single-handedly made that possible. But I did say my top one I think was Valera, and she's pretty low down there. So.
Now this surprises me.
The most OP legendary weapon?
Yes.
Kingsbane, Skull of the Minari, and Aluneth. And the the pie chart here is pretty significant. It's like, what is everything else? So the only one that was even remotely on the charts here was Valinir with Paladin. Everything else was slivers of votes, but Kingsbane and Skull of Minari were overwhelmingly high up.
I am so surprised because I feel like the Kingsbane thing is just people being annoyed by it because it is a really annoying deck to play against. But Skull of the Minari single-handedly destroys me as Spellhunter. I can't do anything about it. I can't freezing trap anything because it will just come back the next turn. Kingsbane Rogue. If you actually run any sort of weapon removal, it's actually not that threatening, because they'll either have to draw it again or they'll have to have one of their other little guys pull it out, and it's possible they could, but a lot of times they don't have those cards. Kingsbane Rogue is annoying to play against, But I did personally say I thought it was the best weapon. I think it is the best weapon. I think it'll continue to be, and it will keep improving until it's by far the best weapon. Uh, but yeah, I'm really surprised to see it number one.
Yeah, and I didn't play against a lot of Alaneth, but the Alaneth decks that I played against were pretty brutal in terms of just burning me down. They're obviously, we're not talking about top tier legendary crap here, but you know, pretty strong, pretty strong.
Yeah. Well, Secret Mage is the main deck that runs LNF, but it's actually starting to get whipped pretty bad, so I think it's probably going to go by the wayside pretty soon.
Until Deck of Secrets or Deck of Wonders, sorry, Deck of Wonders, till that deck is rank 1 legend.
Well, I think there's something to think about though, like with this whole change your hero power thing. Maybe their whole goal in that is to just shake up the meta.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I assume that's kind of the idea with every expansion, but just saying like, well, your deck's going to be more powerful if you just completely throw away all the decks that you have right now and make one with only even or only odd cost cards.
Yeah. And I'm sure we'll see some overpowered stuff come out of that. Next up is the class with the best new cards. Warlock, Priest, Druid. What do you think? Warlock by an enormous margin.
I don't think that Warlock had the actual best cards. I think they have the most good cards that aren't rotating out. I think Anduin's cards are actually better. I think Duskbreaker, Psychic Scream are better than Void Lord, Skull of the Minari.
Yeah, once again, I think this comes down to which class has the strong deck.
Yes.
And it's like, that doesn't mean best cards.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially if you go into Wild. That's the other thing. Because Wild, you have access to everything, and I think your opinion would be a lot different. But in the context of just looking at it in Standard and what you can do in Standard, like you said, cards that haven't rotated out or won't rotate out, then yeah.
What you're making.
Warlock has a strong archetype that isn't going anywhere with the rotation. But that doesn't mean that 2 expansions from now, we won't find out that some of the cards that got put in this past year are just absolutely brutal. They just need the rest of the deck to, support them.
I think the big problem right now is that not enough people are targeting Warlock. I think that should happen more. I think people should start running more polymorphs and saps and hexes and weapon removal. And once you did, I don't think that people would think that Warlock's OP anymore. But people are kind of ignoring it, and they're just saying, "Well, that's just a loss I'm going to take. I'm going to keep playing my Secret Mage. I'm going to keep playing this. I'm going to keep playing that." Instead of trying to make something that counters that, they're trying to pick off the other decks that are of equal power level to their own.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that's the end of the Community Choice Awards. Results from Hearthstone, obviously, it's just based on their users, and we just want to kind of compare our thoughts to the results. So that being said, we're swiftly moving into the Year of the Raven and our first expansion. I'm definitely excited. Briefly talk about our channel plans for leading up to the expansion. We're going to keep doing our weekly, possibly multiple times weekly, leading up to the expansion card coverage. So typically what we're going to do is have a show once a week, but we kind of said that we're going to attempt to do a few streams a week depending on the number of cards that are revealed, so we don't end up with a stream that's 8 hours long, because we really get into talking about 40 different cards that come out. Maybe we can break that up 10 10 10 10 or something. And then once the expansion is out, we'll have an episode to kind of talk about our impressions and everything like that, and then we will get down into our deck building, deck showcase stuff for reels, and that's really what this channel is all about. So hang in there with us until we get to that point. So yeah, any final thoughts, any expansion hype comments, anything you want to add there?
There is one thing that I've actually something I was just talking to you about before we started the stream, but I didn't say this specifically. I would like for somebody to take Rogue and use the four cost Kobold, I forget what it's called, that pulls a card out of your hand. And I want them to make a Malagos deck out of it. And I want to be able to use it. And it to be really good. So if anybody ever actually sees this video and you can make that deck for me, I will be eternally grateful.
That's our job, man.
I want to see somebody else do it because I can't. I suck. I want to see somebody else do it.
I don't have Malagos, or I'd try.
How do you not have Malagos?
That's I never am interested in playing a deck that has Malagos in it. Ever. Never have been.
You don't want to have a win condition. You just want to put cards in your deck and just hope they do something. That's how you are. That's why you like Deck of Wonders so much.
Yep. I'm just like
anything.
I'm a dice roller, dude. I'm not a card game player. I just want to roll dice. Give me Hearthstone dice.
A dice simulator. I'm just gonna make a little thing where you can play digital Yahtzee all day long. If you don't find out about Yahoo Games before I make it for you.
So that's probably what I'll do when the new expansion comes out, is try to come up with whatever I can roll the dice with. I mean, that's what I do. Like, my favorite deck right now that I am usually playing to complete my daily quests and stuff like that is Recruit Druid, where I play a card and I'm like, hey, is it going to be the 4-cost minion that I need right now? If not, I'll try to win anyway.
Yeah, what would be really cool that you could do is a Recruit Warrior that has really bad cards in it, like Bomb Squad, and you could just be like, am I going to blow up my own face, or am I going to hurt my opponent?
Hey, if you don't think that when Matter Bomber came out, I was putting every random, like, I did the Warlock deck where I had like Mad Bomber, Matter Bomber, I had the Spreading Madness, just boom, boom, boom. Like, if you think I didn't make a ping Warlock and just go, well, pray for the best, you're wrong. Because I did.
Oh, that's awesome.
I'm waiting for Mattis Bomber to come out, and now I've got the Kobold. What's he called?
I don't know.
The little I cast arcane missiles guy.
Oh, Kobold Apprentice.
Something like that. I got him. And he only goes to the enemy, which it's still ping. I still want to just put all the ping cards in there. Cap it off with Cthulhu and just...
I think Mattis Bomber, that idea, it makes me think about the Rod of Roasting. There should be a bomber that just does 1 damage to each different player until one of them dies. That would be awesome. I mean, it would never, of course they could never make that card, but wouldn't that be awesome?
Yeah, because you'd really be, like, that'd be a coin flip. Does he hit me first or my opponent first? Because... depending on which one of us is going to die, if your health is about even. But you should be a 0-cost card. You play it on turn 1.
Dude, I saw Pasra playing against somebody once, and she needed, she was doing one of the dungeon runs, and she needed, 2 Pyroblasts to the other guy's face, and she had over 100 health, and played Rod of Roasting, and it killed her. It hit her 11 times in the face. Never hit King Togwaggle. Maybe once. It was incredible.
That's hilarious. So. Well, all right. That'll do it for the show. Depending on when more cards are revealed, we'll either see you next Friday or a little bit sooner than that. So, thanks for tuning in the year 2019. And...
oh, yeah. For those people, we'll see it later.
We will see you in 2020 when you find the link to the Twitch channel. So...